Hey, what's going on, everybody? And today we'll be looking at Matt Reeves' The Batman. So I'm just going to start off by simply saying that this is the best iteration of Batman we've seen on the big screen yet. From the very first 10 minutes, Matt Reeves, right off the bat, no pun intended, sets the tone of what the film's going to be about. You know, from the opening 10 minutes, you're already glued into your seat, and you already know that this is going to be so different than what we've seen in other iterations of Batman. With its genre blending tones of neo-noir, horror, and psychological thriller, this is a new take, yet a familiar take on the Caped Crusader and his mythos. So yeah, like I said before, Robert Pattinson is Batman. Twilight Boy is no more. So both the score and the cinematography fit very well with the vision that Matt Reeves had planned for almost 5 years. Whether you're a comic book fan of Batman or a cinephile, you'll be able to notice some of the influences Matt Reeves had pegged with the slightest of detail throughout the film. The supporting characters were phenomenal, all the way to Selena Kyle, Oswald Cobblepot, Carmine Falcone, James Gordon, Alfred, and of course Paul Dano's the Riddler. Not only were they phenomenal, but each character had a pinnacle role within the film's plot. They weren't just shoehorned and just for fan service, but each of them had a purpose. And as the 3-hour runtime was closing in, each character was perfectly fitted within the time frame. So Paul Dano's Riddler was just as terrifying as you'd expect, because his version of Riddler was so terrifying that it made you think that actual people like that exist. The relationship between Gordon and Batman fit so well that it made you actually believe that these two were partners. That their relationship was so similar to like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, or even the characters from Seven, which was a main inspiration for the film. And speaking of Seven, one of my favorite things about the whole film that finally, as Batman fans, we've been waiting to see, was that we finally get to see the actual detective side of Batman. And I know we've seen some of it in the Dark Knight trilogy, little snippets, but in this one he was full-on detective. Even from like the littlest details in some scenes where Batman was in a crime scene and other forensic people couldn't really pinpoint what was going on, he was able to solve everything. One aspect of the Batman that I liked was the interpretation of Bruce Wayne. As brooding, angsty, and awkward as he was, it fit the tone perfectly, because in a real world, that's what you would think of a person who experienced a lot of trauma as a child. Since we're so used to seeing the playboy philanthropist with the clean-cut look, this fit the tone perfectly. And I like how this wasn't an origin film, which we got so tired of. I liked how it shows how naive and amateur he is, not only as Batman but as Bruce Wayne, because in the film he is still learning to be both Batman and Bruce Wayne. It's still a struggle for him to be differentiating both identities, because he still doesn't know how to balance them out. Even Alfred in one point in the film tells him that he has to make appearances as Bruce Wayne. So in the end, this film is sort of a coming of age story where it shows a character that we're all familiar with evolving from a fearful and vengeful character to eventually becoming the symbol of hope and justice that we all recognize. These are my thoughts on the Batman, and I highly recommend you guys to go see this film since it's in theaters and on HBO Max. But if I had to choose between both, I'd go with theaters, specifically Dolby, because that Batmobile scene was perfection. So yeah, in the words of the great Martin Scorsese, this is cinema. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And remember, stay groovy, my friends.